What's up, everybody? You're listening to another episode of the SignatureCAST, where we talk bodybuilding, business, and everything in between. To my right, back again into the Signature Fitness Studios, my man, Manj Singh. It is about to get lit up in here because we have one of his star athletes, Jake Russell. Next year, going to Valpo. It's going to be absolutely amazing. First of all, thank you guys so much for coming on today. Jake, how you feeling, bud?
Oh, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling really good, yeah.
Good,
I'm excited to be on this podcast.
I love it. I love it. Manj, how you feeling?
You know, I can't complain. You know, I'm always great. Every day I wake up, it's just a great day. That's just it.
I love it. I love it. That's the attitude we always want to have here. We want to be excited. We want to stay positive. We want to get jacked every single day. That's what it's about here at the SignatureCAST. So, Jake, I have heard so much about you. I know we met probably... What is that? That was about 4 or 5 months ago now, something like that, right? I came and talked to the team, and this guy, I've heard so much from Manj about he was basically like this giant of a man, leading this team, which I think is absolutely amazing. When you're given those God-given gifts of being a big human being with a stature, I can tell you from firsthand, when you walk into a room, you demand presence. It's as they say with Spider-Man. It's with great power comes great responsibility. Yeah. So I'll give you that one tip of advice: is no matter what you do for the rest of your life, whenever you walk into the room, the eyes are going to be drawn to you, and it might be scary sometimes, but it's one of the best possible things that you can have. So take that advice moving forward, especially when you're at Valpo. So back to the game at hand. Football is what we're talking. I should have started off with that.
It's all
so,
good.
Manj. Now it's done, your first season officially as the head coach. How did it go?
Well, here's the funny thing. I had to think about it on the way over here. I don't even have 365 days. The last time I was in here was I just got the job. So I was in June, but June 6th will be my 1 year. But I can say right now it's been an exciting run. Mm-hmm. More than I expected, more than I thought it would be. And, just coming across somebody like, Jake and a few other guys, it's been incredible. I'm really looking forward for year number 2. Can't wait.
I love it. I love it. I know when we had first talked about this, this was definitely a interesting opportunity for you. I know, life has been a little bit crazy. You have all the things in your personal life going on, your own separate business. But, you had always talked about, from the beginning, from the first time we started talking to each other, is you always wanted to have an impact on your community, an impact on these athletes and these young men who really needed a role model. And I think we can both safely say that this is a very happy landing point and almost a home for you now, right?
Well, I'm gonna not to get too deep, but I'm gonna get deep. Me, I'm just shoot off the cuff. So I could just talk about May. Just not too long ago, May 10th. That was my mother's funeral. Mm-hmm. And, I didn't know the impact I had on Glen Ridge or the football team or anything. But, during her funeral, to look up and see 32 plus players come in with parents to represent, to be there for me and my family the time I need. Because my coaching comes from growing up, growing up with my mom and the way she did and how she pushed us as kids and told us never quit, keep going, keep pushing, and just be the best you can. And make sure when you're coaching, you're teaching people, teach the young people exactly how they should live their lives, and just basically, that whole attitude and everything like that. But that right there solidified a whole lot and just showed me that year one, I had a huge impact with them. That was just, I normally don't give myself credit, but to see them show up just showed me that, that right there was everything plus some. And, a guy like Jake, texted me actually the day after my mother passed away and said, Coach, there's one thing I can tell you. You always tell us when you're going through hard things, you need to hit the gym. I'll be at the gym tomorrow morning. If I'd like to see you meet me here, please meet me here. And the gym is Signature, of course. And, so Jake, I always want to thank him. He's like a son to me. Like all my players are like my sons, but I tell you, it's just like, something with Jake Russell is totally different.
That's awesome. Jake, having Manj come in, you've obviously, I'm assuming you did play the first 3 years of high school, right?
I played starting sophomore year.
Oh, so you started your sophomore year, right?
Yeah.
So you had under another coach. What was the difference, at least from an athlete's perspective, what was it like having him come in? Because I know, look, Manj is a different type of human being in the best way possible, mostly.
He's very interesting, yes.
What was it like having him come in as a coach?
Well, from day one when he walked in and we were getting introduced to Manj, of course, the 4 captains, we were in the meeting room, and he just walks in and he goes, "You're going D1, you're going D1, you're going D1." And so just from the get-go, I knew like Manj like believed in us, and we hadn't had that before. And so just to know that this coach had my back from like the start, it was something special.
No, yeah, that's awesome. I know that's something that Manj and I have talked about for a long time. It's something that I know he's carried at every level, right? But it's rare that you find that nowadays. And honestly, I'm jealous. I wish I had played a team sport growing up. I mean, I was involved. I know I had mentioned it before when I talked to the team, but I was involved with the marching band, all this type of stuff. And so I had different types of leadership. But it's so important nowadays to have a strong, committed male role model in your life, and I'm sure you'll never forget him being your head coach.
No, never.
And it was one season, so that's props to you, big guy. I mean, you're kind of small next to these two guys, but that's props to you. You have already accomplished something with the gentleman sitting right next to you.
Yeah, wait, let me get close to the mic, because I know if I'm not close to the mic, you can't hear me. I'm loud. I'll tell you what, and I told Jake and I told his father the first day they showed me his film from his junior year. I said, "What is this?"
It was really bad. It was really bad.
It was bad to the point where I was like, "We got to fix this kid and get him right." I already promised him we're going to try to figure out how to get him to Division I football, and that's what we went and did. Definitely.
Yeah.
No, 100%. I mean, you take one quick look at the guy. We were just talking about it. 6'3.5", 6'4" on a good day, pushing 300 right now. I mean, just start drinking a gallon of milk every day and keep coming to Signature, and we're going to get you to 320 in no time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That actually is a little bit of a good segue. When Manj and I were talking about him taking, getting into this new team, you didn't know where they were at physically, mentally, emotionally. How did they work together as a team? All these things. Explain to the viewers at home how important the physical culture was, right?
It was a culture shock. So, yeah, Jake, you can talk about this one.
How was the culture shock? What were the workouts like? All that stuff.
So he comes in and he's like, we got to do workouts. We got to do, we got to.
Hold on, Jake. Get close to that mic. Make sure they hear you.
We got to do workouts. We got to do, like, recovery. We got to do running. We got to do 2-a-days. And we were just looking at this man, and we were like, what the heck is going on? Like, we never done that before. And honestly, like, it really paid off that he really did all that stuff, though. Like, even though like it was really hot and we really didn't want to do these workouts, but in the end it paid off.
Yeah, and I'm sure it made you guys stronger together as a team. Like, you and your friends are probably even have closer friendship having gone through that adversity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of the whole point, I think. You can accomplish that in so many different ways, but when you're, there with your brothers, you're killing yourselves every single day in, drilling over and over and over again. It instills in these young men, a quality that is very rare nowadays.
Oh yeah.
It's something, Jake, that you can take now, in future business endeavors. Whether it's, where you end up after college. I mean, who knows? Maybe the NFL. We'll see. One step at a time.
We'll see.
But and in your family life moving forward, even you now know what it's like to really work together, hunker down, and push through obstacles. Because as Manj knows, and he knows, I'm dealing some personal stuff at the moment right now. Life is gonna throw the hardest curveballs at you all the time, and these values that you've learned from him and from your teammates and your other coaches and everyone that you've dealt with that team and at school are going to carry you through the rest of your life. So it's something that I hope you do cherish, and I think you do. I just from talking for the past 10 minutes, I know you do. Yeah. But big moments, right? This season was definitely a roller coaster, but in the best way, right? We ended up great. We almost made it at the end, correct? Right? We were right there.
Yeah, we lost a game, a playoff. Well, it should have been a playoff game. Basically, winner goes into the main playoffs.
Sure.
So we got denied. We lost that game 20-14. Was it, Jake?
Yeah.
I think it was 20-14. Tough game down in the fourth quarter. Kudos to them, that their program. But they put us in the invitational tournament, which, at first we were like, we're not going in there. There's no way. And, I owe it all to these guys. I mean, they really pushed themselves like no other. But I think the big moment, you want to talk about big moments, was I think it was the loss against Dumont.
Oh, yeah.
And this guy right here was really heartbroken. Him and another one, Mateo Pavon, both my captains.
Definitely beating myself up after that game. So I wanted to change something real quick after that. So
yeah, and you know what we did?
What did we do?
Came to Signature.
Ooh.
Signed up.
I'm dead serious.
I love it.
And
I love it.
What time we come here, Jake? What time?
Like 5:30 in the morning.
Give me some, Jake. Give me some right there. That's commitment right there. I love that.
And this man, the one thing he's taught me is consistency, and so I haven't stopped coming back here at 5 in the morning. So I'll come up and
take a moment. I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah.
How does that does that not hit you hard?
I'll be honest with you.
Come on. I'm about to cry right now. I'm not even the one involved here.
I'll be honest with you. He's on autopilot now where I don't even have to show up no more. Where if I show up late or I don't show up, I show up the following day, and, because he's still coming that early, I get the rest of the members here looking at me like, where were you? He was here. Where were you? I think the best thing is, like, now watching Jake, motion through the gym, everybody knows who he is. When he first got in the gym, he was a little bit like, oh, my goodness, this is a little too much. But then he understands the family value of this gym. And
I made many friends.
And, different ages, different people. And the best thing, like I said, it was him and Mateo that really stuck and believed in me with that. And that pushed us to go get that regional invitational championship. And working out through the season, it shows. Like, if you work out during the season, you're not sore. You just keep going. You keep pushing. Even after a game, they're here, they're doing it. And then we had a few more come and work out with us here in the gym. We're trying to get them back down here because if you want to be great, you got to come to Signature.
No, 100%. And this is not to knock Signature in any way. Signature's an amazing, but you gotta just the consistency, and that's what Jake said.
Yep.
That's what creates champions. That's what creates people. Like I had mentioned prior, when you walk into that room, if you're consistent, you're on time, you put the work in. Whether it's here, whether it's at Valpo, wherever this sport and your life takes you, it's all about that consistency. They're going to continue to look at you, right? I get that all the time. Funny enough, I was working on a newsletter that we send out for the gym, right? And I'm on there. I'm talking to Warren, right? Trying to get all this stuff done. And then I get a phone call about, oh, you got to make a video for this, and you got to do this, and blah, blah, blah. And the lady behind me that was also that works here, she goes, you just don't stop. And I'm like, it's not that I don't stop. It's just I'm the one that they rely on because they know that it's going to get done. And it when I tell you, Jake, it sucks to be that person, but it's a privilege to be that person.
Yeah.
Because they're looking at you for a reason, because they're lost puppies. Whether it's in work, whether it's on the field, whatever it is, they're looking at you because they need that guidance. So as much as, and Manj understands because, he's the head of his household, having that weight on your shoulders, it sucks. But at the end of the day, you're better for it, and you're a better human being because of it. So never, ever decide to take that weight off. Yeah. It's a huge privilege. But you're here at 5:30 in the morning?
Oh, yeah, every day.
I love it.
I'll tell you that, like, if I don't come here in the mornings, like, I beat myself up. Like, I have a terrible day, too. Like, I go to school, and I'm walking through the halls, and I'm like, man, like, what the heck? Like, I don't feel good right now. Like, it just wakes me up, and I feel so much better. And it's a great way to start your day.
No, 100%. I mean, that's what we tell. It's kind of the message that we preach to everybody here, especially you being here at 5:30. You seeing like that's a committed group of people.
Oh yeah, these are people that don't mess around.
No, they don't, and I'm so happy you're coming at that time because that's really those are the people. Like I said, they're the leaders. They're the ones that make it or break it, and they are pushing through every single day. So, Jay, I want to dive into your mental state a little bit, right? So, captain of the football team, right? Larger than life human being, right? You have these people looking up to you. Was there any either, pregame rituals or things you would do? Was it a song you listened to? What was it that you would have to do to get yourself in the right mind state before a game?
Well, I mean, there wasn't really like many like physical things that I would do to get myself ready, but before games, I would just tell myself like, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna be the best out there because I have to be. because I wanna be that player. I want to go to college and play football. So I was like, if you got to play good today.
That's great. I mean, just starting off with a mental thought of I'm winning today.
Yeah.
In reality, what you were doing is you were saying, no matter the outcome, my performance is a win today. And I know Manj does the same thing every day, whether it's on the field or whatever. That's one thing I've been trying to start my days with is I wake up, I get me ready, blah blah blah, do my cardio, do whatever I have to do, and on my ride to work, for me it's I put a song on that I like, and I just think, what do I have to do today, and how am I going to make today a win? And I'll write, when I get here, I sit down, I write down the 5-6 most important things. And that way, at the end of the day, even if I didn't get to the other 5 or 6 things, I did something. I accomplished it. I made a win. So as a tip for college, going to a big school, I'll tell you, that's a start your day like that.
Yeah.
Take down those 5 or 6 things that you got to get done, and you'll be much better off for it. Now, Manj, from the other side, right, you had this young group of gentlemen that you needed to mold, and you needed to, instill your values into them, right? And there are days, as we all know, that you're up, you're down, right? What was something you did to deal with those, like we said, those big moments, those times where even you don't want to be there?
Well, I think the biggest one was, we started off our first game of the season. We had 18 suited up, 22 on the roster total. We went against a team, Cedar Grove. They had about 60 players, something like that.
Yeah,
they had 3 teams. Yeah, they had 3 teams. They came, very, very prepared. We didn't have the depth and everything like that. So I'll never forget it. We had picture day in the gym the following week, and Jake and the rest of everybody else in there looked at me and said, "There's no way you're going to get that kid. Stop looking at him." I'm looking at this one kid across. I said, "Yeah, I'm going to get him." He was a cheerleader.
Yeah.
I said, "I'm going to get him. He's big. He's huge. Got a chest like a 27-inch television. He's like a monitor."
Oh,
I said,
my God, I love
he's big all the way around. I said, "I'm going to get this kid." And they're like, "No." I said, "I'm a real estate agent at heart. I am going to get this kid. Watch me." And it just started from there. Like it was Preston Palm, who was a golfer and a really good golfer. And he's also a track guy or cross country. It started from getting from him. Then we ended up getting the cheerleader. Then we ended up getting some soccer players, some baseball players.
Yeah.
I mean, you name it, they came out. We had people that never even played the sport saying, "You know what? I'm just hearing about it." And the greatest thing I think that they, was that they understood about the family values, that it wasn't just all about football always. It was always about, there's a message before practice, they'll know we'll get a word together. In the middle of practice, we'll get a word. After, we'll get a word. The pregame speeches, I mean, I can't talk about them because I can barely remember what I say unless they're recorded. But these guys knew when we went in there, even halftime, that it's about to be on. In other words, I would tell them, a whole bunch of stuff I probably can't say right now, but because I don't remember. But Jake could probably go a little bit more into it. But I think as a season, to start with 18, to end up with 38 to damn near 40, and then knowing this year we're coming with the same amount, like to 40 maybe, and going more maybe to 50, build a program.
Yeah.
From a program that was in the Ivy League to back to competing and doing things. I always say, you try not to, you don't not try not to, but you want to be politically correct. But I'm gonna say it. God gave me the gift, and God gave me the school, and God gave me everything I got right here, and I'm blessed. I'm very happy with these guys. I think we have the talent that we're just gonna bring it out. The thing is, I got to make these guys believe, like Jake. And a few others to get that moment. They got to be stuck in that moment. And that's the thing, I'm not going to go all the way about it, but what I told these guys the last time we really spoke, I said, guys, you think about the past of what happened in Glen Ridge and how it was. You can't change that. The records are the records. It is what it is. Then you look to the future, what you want to do. But if you don't put the work in, the way Jake put the work in and some of these other players, you don't get a future. You really don't get a future. You don't get to go to Valpo. You don't get to get all these colleges coming in there. And then you look at the present time. In the present time, there's so many distractions. Like right now, your mind is everywhere. We're doing a podcast, but our minds are everywhere. The one thing I told these guys, if you stay in that moment, don't let nothing distract you from that moment. Stay in that moment. And I had the same conversation with the 6th grade lacrosse team in Glen Ridge, and I know nothing about lacrosse. And I went in there with my chain and did everything, locked the gates and all that. And I think it was a big impact because they went out there and played their tails off. Yeah. And it's this town has been been a blessing for me and my family. I could just say that. And I know I ran off with a lot more, but I'm very blessed and very happy to be part of Glenridge.
Yeah, can I add on real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
I think why a lot of people started to join the team is that they realized that you were more than just a coach, and you were more of like a friend. You let us in. You let us know what was going on with your family. Like right from the get-go, you told us about the problems your mom and what you were dealing with, and then you told us basically almost your whole entire life story. And so I think we just all kind of built off of that, and we really just created, like, the team and you as well, and all the coaches created such a strong bond. So,
Manj, it seems like what you're doing is having an impact on these kids.
I am, but you listen. So I hate compliments, bro.
I know. I could tell.
I'm so uncomfortable. I got to sit
you're
between.
so uncomfortable.
Hold on.
Right
First
now.
off, I got to sit between two people who are 300 pounds or whatever it may be. I'm the small guy in the middle. You got me sitting in the middle looking short.
Oh, I love it.
But I mean, honestly, like, I appreciate that, Jake. I mean, you guys, they were everything for me. Like, they pushed me through the toughest times of life. He's right. I did talk about my family. I did talk about all that because you know what? I had nobody else to listen to. No, listen to me rather. And these guys listened, and it was like, therapists or these guys. I choose these guys every day, and I'll choose them all the time.
No question. And just to wrap up the conversation about these big moments, I know you had asked me to speak on this slightly, is, even myself, like the way I deal with those big moments, it's very similar, to both of you. But, it's a bit of introspective thought. You kind of just sit with yourself a little bit. You see the task you have at hand, right? And a lot of the times, whether it's in life or, on the field, it's a big task. It's something that, when you look at it on a piece of paper, you're like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to lead this team of 40 people? How am I going to, coach these young men? Or for me, like, how am I going to walk into this competition and I've, have little to no experience compared to these other people? But I just think we have to just take a moment when it's so special, especially, having dealt with Manj, having, dealt with your passing, you're the mother, me currently dealing with the passing or soon to be passing of my grandmother. It's like, we have to remember how lucky we are. First of all, just to be here, right? I don't care about the whole, you said politically correct. Forget being politically correct. God put us here for a reason. Right. And when you think about it, you had a one in like, what is it, like 100 million chance of you even being the one being born when mama and dad were doing their thing?
Yeah.
You're here for a reason. Right? And don't forget how lucky we are to be able to experience pain, to be able to experience joy, and to be able to experience those very few moments, right? Like for me, I just, competed not that long ago in my first like big like arm wrestling tournament. And, it was so special for me just to say, like, I'm a professional athlete now, right? And for you, in your last game, you'll never forget your last game, right? Yeah. And we have to just take a moment, think to ourselves, and remember that how lucky we are to be able to experience all those emotions, pain, joy, love, all this stuff, right? Because very easily we could not exist, right? So thank God for that.
Yeah.
And that's a great segue to our sponsor. No, I'm just kidding. No, we don't have any sponsors.
I have a question for you. I have a question for you because you just mentioned, your arm wrestling. So what was the difference in you getting ready for powerlifting, the things you do, those competitions versus arm wrestling? What's the difference? What's the songs? What's the mood? What's the food? What's the eating like?
Okay, great question. So let's go off because we're kind of still on this mental track. We'll go off the mental track first. Whenever I prepare for any form of competition, normally I'm at least 12 weeks out, right? So around that 12-week, really at that 8-week mark is where my head really starts to get wrapped around the fact that I'm about to compete. So workouts become more intense. Things that are important start to not matter as much. I know that doesn't sound like a good thing, but, sometimes when you're home and you gotta do the wash or whatever, you're like, I'm gonna put that aside because I gotta go train or I gotta eat or I gotta focus on whatever it is I'm supposed to be doing. So around that 8-week mark. And the last thing that happens for me mentally is as the days get closer and closer and closer and closer, this may sound, this might not sound so great, but I become in the best way possible, as cocky as possible, and as confident as possible. Because in my head, like you said, right before your game, you said, I'm going to win, right? If I don't go into my next tournament, my next powerlifting meet, whatever it is, thinking that I've already done it, I'm going to lose. Especially now that I'm arm wrestling. It's not just me against a weight when I was powerlifting. Now this is me against another individual. So it's a variable that I have absolutely no control over, right? So that's a big thing for me is I'm going into it like I am going to win this event. So I went into the Arnold Classic, my first big international arm wrestling competition. And, you know, I went in there going to win. Now, of course, in the back of my head, I was like, man, I'd be really happy if I make top 5. And I ended up placing 5th. But I went into it like every time I stepped at that table, the person across from me was my enemy, and I was ready to just go to absolute war with them. So that's for the mental side. But for the physical side of things, as I had mentioned prior, as Jake here is trying to gain weight, I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to be a little more athletic, a little bit quicker. Because with arm wrestling, a lot of it is, you know, it's ready off the go. You have to be very quick and fast, very explosive, and sometimes carrying a little bit of extra weight. Although sometimes good, if it's too much, it's a little, you know, counterproductive. But the training is really basic. It's something that I think differs from me versus other, because we're specifically talking about arm wrestling, other arm wrestlers. They do a lot of arm wrestling specific stuff. But I think that's the reason why I've excelled so quickly is because I still train legs. I do chest, I do back, I do shoulders, I do arms. Obviously, I do like the arm wrestling specific stuff, like the wrist and hand stuff. But I want my whole body to be strong, right? Because the base, right, no matter if you're on the field or you're even in any sport, right, being strong is never a downside. I want my pinky to be strong. I want my pinky toe to be strong. I want everything to be solid. And that's what I've done, at least for my training. Is just I'm trying to, you know, kind of slim down, get a little quicker, keep all the strength, and just be an absolute monster on the table.
Now watch this. How did you become an explosive football player and maintain that 4.3, I think, GPA with all those classes? Continue to work through day and night, continue the long practices, watch as much film as you did. I think I'm tell me if I'm wrong, Jake, and I'm sorry I'm taking over this interview, but
You're good.
Tell me if I'm wrong, and I want you to get close to that mic when you say this. I want these people, everybody to know. I think I told you guys you have 3 things in life. You can have a personal life, you can have your school, and your sport. You have to choose 2 of the 3. And I want to know, how did you balance all that, maintain all that, and also with family, because you're real loyal to your family. You know, you're real loyal to your family. I know that comes first for everything. So I think we all need to know what made Jake Russell who Jake Russell is.
You know, I just had to lock in. Like, it really, like, your time management has to be on point. Like, I really, like, you know, I had to wake up in the morning, 5:30, and then, you know, get home, make my protein, eat my eggs, go to school, get the schoolwork done during school so I don't have to do it afterwards, then go to practice, and then, you know, do my homework. And some nights it was really tough. Like, some nights I texted him and I was like, I don't know if I can come in tomorrow. I've been studying all night, but, you know, I really try to make the effort to come in because I know that, like, you know, I wanted to do something. I wanted to have like a future, and I really love this sport. So the love of the sport was really just kind of burning in my mind, and you know, it never left. So
yeah, I can see you getting emotional.
I love it.
I love it, man.
One thing that's really cool, he was telling me, is he's going for engineering, and I was speaking to him earlier. I had some friends who are engineering majors, but it's so great. This is something unique to Glen Ridge. We were talking about is all of your athletes are good students. You know, a lot of these other schools, I'm sorry to say, sports comes first, school comes second, right? And so, because look, the truth of the reality is, you know, I hope everything at Valparaiso is amazing. You're going to come out of there probably 330 ripped and just like a monster, right? And you know, if NFL is in the cards, great. But so many of these players forget that it's not easy. You know, it's not easy to get there. And if you don't have that background, you know, and that's what's so unique about, I think, your program is you guys you're not, I hate to say it, you're not dumb football players. You guys are smart football players.
And I'm going to say it, and Jake, I want Jake to go off this one too, because I mean, we both talk about it all the time. And you know, you at Glen Ridge, your education, that's first, you're a student athlete. So your education is like a private school. It's like the big schools. It's big time. When you come out of Glen Ridge, you graduate, everybody goes to college. You know what I'm saying? Because you got the grades and stuff like that. So when you play this, now you play football. Now you have a coach there. You know, I give myself a little bit of pat on the back with this because I proved it. I proved it. You stay home. You don't have to go to anywhere. You can stay right in Glen Ridge. If you're in Glen Ridge, you need to stay in Glen Ridge. Yeah. I'm showing everybody that if you want to play college football, let me help you. Just do your part in the classroom. Let me do my part as a coach because my assistant coaches, you know, Coach Ferrara and everybody, those guys win the games with the players. My job is to prepare them for life and try to get them to college. If college isn't in the cards, guess what? You're going to learn the brotherhood and what we started here. You're going to learn what we're trying to build here, what we're trying to do here. It starts with that feeder program at the Red Dogs. These guys knew it was mandatory. You had to be at the Red Dogs practices. The big brother programs we got going on. There's so much we're doing and we're implicated. I haven't even been there for a year, like I said before. So it's like, imagine if I had Jake one more year. He's only 17 years old. So imagine if I had him for one more year and what I would have done with this guy. And I can tell you, all the colleges that came through and they didn't push the button to take this hand, they regret.
They're gonna regret.
I'm telling you, because you got a student athlete that you could depend on. Yeah. I mean, what do you think about that? Like,
I with my education, I really have to thank my mom for that one because she really wasn't on board with like the whole football thing at the start.
No, she wasn't.
And he knows that. And she really wanted me to get into a good school and not go to like a rinky-dinky like Division III school. And so, she really pushed me to keep the grades up. But also she wanted me to do my best with football and playing at the best level that I can so that I could also go and play in college.
Shout out to mom killing it. Shout out to mom for buying the food to feed this man. I think I still can't wrap my head around because I think around 17 I was around 300 pounds, but it was nowhere near the type of 300 pounds that this guy is.
Yeah, he moves quick.
I mean, he is built like a tank right now.
Yeah, I feel really good with my body and all my movements. And shout out to Char Fitness. I go to them after school.
Nice.
And
comes here in the morning, then goes there after school.
Oh man, doubles. I love it.
And those two guys, Rock and Donnie, they have absolutely trained the heck out of me. Like moving good, mobility, flexibility, making sure I'm moving weight good, and so they have just built me into something else.
I gotta also mention this too. His father, aka the Hammer. Anything I
want to pause you there. Your dad's nickname is the Hammer?
Well, I nicknamed him that one.
That makes a lot of sense.
I definitely nicknamed him that. Well, a few of us are laughing about it because you know what? Anything we needed to be done, I mean, whether it was for the program, whether it was the youth program, whatever, he got it done. He was out in the rain covering up pads for us. He's doing this. He set so much up. He actually paved a great way for me in Glen Ridge. He put me to the test. He said, okay, coach, put your money where your mouth is. And I said, well, I don't get paid much, but I'll put my mouth where it got to be, and I'm going to do what I have to do. But, we've had several conversations on the phone. I probably got more minutes on my phone with him than I have had with anybody.
Almost every day. I always my mom's like, who you calling? And he's like, oh, it's Manj.
Yeah. And we stay on the phone, and we just talked about the season. And then, when we got to that invitational tournament, I was a little down and out. And he looked at me and said, hey, just do me a favor. Go out there and go win the whole thing. So here's the things like that he probably won't talk about, Jake himself. So he's the first one since 1979 that's going to the North-South game, which is going to be played June 11th at King College in 2 weeks. He's the first one to go to a Division I school in 34 years.
Somewhere around that.
Yeah, he was our offensive MVP. He was our Pete Anderson, which is a lineman award candidate. He was first team all conference, first team all county. And
third team all state.
And third team all state. This is all, and I said, I only coached Jake for 3.5 months. And from his film, if you see his junior year, which he doesn't mind showing, and see what he did now. And listen, it took a team. It was him and I saying, hey, you know what? Let's go do it. We have nothing to lose, everything to gain. So when you watch the last games and watch the clips and see him grab a guy and take him to the stands or put him somewhere else, and you see our running backs running off his backside, and our quarterback is being protected. Like our quarterback broke the single season record for passing in 1 year, and that's all because the backside. He had the blind side block and making sure, he took care of that. It was I mean, I got conference coach of the year this year, which was funny. But we also took a trophy, which is the invitational. We hoisted it up. But I give him and Mateo Pavan, and the reason I keep bringing those two guys out, because these two guys came at me in the mornings, believed in what we were trying to do, where we were trying to go, and got it going. And then we also have another guy, Josh Schumann, who's going to be playing in the Robeson Classic, which is going to be here in Belleville. I think the 14th of June. I think it is the 14th of June. So those two guys, and we were able to get him to college. He's going to go down to Rowan. So it's like anybody that came to me and said, hey, you know what, I want to play college football, I want to go there, we'll do it.
Let me ask you this. What was your criteria, and how did you pick your two captains? You had two captains?
No,
how many did you have?
No, I walked in.
Four.
Oh, I got to tell you a funny story. I walk in, and they already picked the four captains. So I'm like, okay. So I'm looking at the first captain. He's a junior. He's a captain again this year. Dylan O'Neill is a quarterback, 4-year starter this year. And I said, okay, he's a captain. He's a junior. So they might not have that many players. And then the next one was my one of my favorites, Anwell Meng. So Anwell gets up, and I'm looking at him, and Anwell's about maybe all of 5'5", 5'7", maybe, who knows? And I'm like, okay. I said, okay. And then Jake gets up, and Jake at the time was he was tall, but he was about 242.
255.
Yeah, 255 around there. He wasn't as big.
I bulked up though. I was my junior year. I played at 210. So
for Char Fitness.
And then the Char got me to 255.
Right, and then the next one was Mateo Pavan. He gets up, big, tall kid. So I'm like, all right. So that's when I did the whole, you're going Division I, you're going Division I.
Yeah.
And I looked at my quarterback. I said, right now, you're D1 AA, maybe D2. We'll figure it out. And I looked at my 5'8" lineman. I'm like, you probably got a good brain on you, And I said, it's probably tough, But he was, having these guys, these four captains, they all had their own personalities. But the one thing I learned with Jake was Jake wouldn't talk in the beginning. So I said, hey, man, get it together and go talk to these guys. And then before you know it, you got him talking, and you got Mateo talking. All of them talking. They worked well together, all of them. The carpools. They guys hopping out of trunks and doing whatever. Yeah. We had Anwell running around picking guys up all over town. Coach, I might be 5 minutes late because I'm picking up X, Y, and Z. But this is not just them. Preston Palm. I mean, I'm sorry if I'm not naming all you guys. You guys all know how I feel about you. But these names are flown off because Coach Ferrara and myself were like, this is incredible. And I trusted these guys so much that in the midseason, I gave up my defensive. I was calling the defense. I gave it up to Carl Hauser in the middle of a practice because I trusted them to do their job. I trusted him to do what he had to do as a coach. But I also said I got to manage this game and watch it. And then it just, like you said, those big moments, and you just saw things unfolding. And then I started enjoying coaching because it felt great that these guys finally put it together. And I can say right now, the last game of the season, you and Warren were there. We won the championship.
Yeah.
If we had any more games after that, there was nobody beating us. Nobody beating us.
So you think that game was where it really culminated everything?
No, after the Shabazz game, we lost that game, that playoff. Going into the playoff game, these guys were more pissed than ever. I think we stayed in the field until 1 a.m. that time.
No, that was after Verona.
That was after Verona. We stayed in the field until 1 a.m.
Because if we won against Verona, we would have probably been in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But yeah,
but as they always say, right? Usually, you learn more from a loss, than you do from a win.
Yes, and there was times where Jake had, there was times when you looking around for somebody to talk to as a player to see what's going on with the team and see what you're doing as a coach. I got to get evaluated too. I'll go to him, hey man, how am I doing? And he'll tell me the truth. Never lied to me.
That's good.
And if I was about to blow the whistle, we're done running, he'll look at me and give me the thumbs up and keep going. Yeah, as a lineman, keep going. So, guys, when you guys did all those, get them choppings and all, that's because of him.
This guy.
Whoa. Hold on. I told you when to stop, too.
But I'll go one more because I'm not going to stop like that. But,
I
I just look at it like the youth program. Jake started in the Red Dogs. Well, Jake, you can talk about yourself. Go ahead. I mean, I'm not going to keep talking about it. I feel like I'm Paul Heyman this is Brock Lesnar, but go ahead.
So I started in 3rd grade, and I was never like the best player. Going all the way from 3rd grade to about 8th grade, kind of mediocre. And then I go in the freshman year, and I'm getting bullied around by like all the seniors. And then I start sophomore year because we didn't have that many linemen, and I'm doing all right. And Sorry, what was the question? I forgot.
You're going to your junior year now. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, and
You probably want to go hit weights.
yeah. No, and I was just never the best player, and I really grew into my own this year, and I thank my mom, my dad, Coach Ferreira, Coach Rallo, like the whole team, like they really have had my back, and I really appreciate that. So.
No, I mean it's simple, as we said it before, is when you have good leadership in front of you, you grow with them. And I can only imagine what the Glen Ridge football program is going to be like by the end of next year. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to come to the next final game of the season.
Well, I'll tell you what, we opened up our schedule very, very tough. So we took week 0, just August 25th. We're playing way ahead. So we're going against Lenape Valley. I think they're a Group 3 school. Then we got Cedar Grove. Then after that, we have Belleville. We're Group 1. That's a Group 4 or a Group 5 school, I think it is. So we're taking Belleville on. Then we have Dumont and then Tenafly Group 3 schools. So we're taking all the big opponents on.
Nice.
So we're not backing. We don't back down for nobody.
Oh, no.
No, there's no. Listen, you're gonna compete. You're gonna compete. It's like when you go to the arm wrestle, you're gonna go do it. You're gonna go do it.
No, 100%.
And it's like when he said, you go out there thinking it'll win. They know it. We had 18 guys. I thought we're still gonna win that game against Cedar Grove. And we watched the film that day, and I broke down the film to them to the way you had to break it down. What was the score? 15-15. It should have been going in overtime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Jake, we're going to take a little turn here. So when do you go out to Valpo?
August 1st.
August 1st. All right. So what? May, June, July. So you got 2 more months. You got 8 more weeks, essentially, right?
Yep.
Of your own training, right? What's your training looking like? What are you doing? What are you eating? Right? How are you trying to put this? We want to put good weight on, right? How are things? What's the kind of the game plan going on right now?
So when I come in here, I'm having my water, and then I get home and I make a protein shake, and that's like strawberries, bananas, peanut butter, and my protein powder.
Nice.
And then I have 4 eggs with cheese and a bagel, and then I go to school and I have around 2 sandwiches and granola bars, chips, all the regular things in a lunch, and then I go to CHAR, and that's in the past we were it was just working out, and it was just doing chest one day, legs one day, and then chest again, and legs again, and then hang cleans. But, recently we've been upping the tempo, like doing college-style lifts, like doing hang cleans, squatting on the same day, doing press, like full-body workouts, but having, like, only 30 to 45 seconds of rest in between each set. So that's really helped me. And then after I have, a fairly decent-sized meal, and then I eat again. So I have my second dinner, and so I'm putting in a lot of calories.
I love it. It makes me so. Because for someone I'm the exact opposite right now. My calories have probably been brought down to like sub 2,000, trying to cut the fat off, and like it's just basically I'm essentially doing a keto, like tons and tons of meats and high fats and all that type of stuff, and my carbs are super low. But man, it sounds like it's working. I mean, it looks like it's working. Yeah. So the only tip I would probably try to give you is try to stick to. I mean, I understand because I was in high school too. Like you can't eat. Your teacher's not going to let you eat like beef and rice in the middle of class. You got to just eat a sandwich in between classes and stuff like that. But definitely, I mean, it's so true. Like the meat and potatoes, on that first or second dinner, and just get those whole nutrient-dense foods in you, and just keep. Because right now, at 17, 18, these are the 17 and 18 specifically, are the 2 years where you're going to put the most natural size on out of any of the years you're going to train, and take advantage of. Even if you put a little bit of if you put an extra 15, 20 pounds of fat on with it, that's fine. Because the conditioning you're going to do over the next 4 years is going to just shred all that off, and you're just going to be a tank. But yeah, man, keep doing it. Just keep
Right now, I'm
eating.
I'm trying to keep my weight right now like 295 ish, and trying to get like put on more muscle.
Yes,
and trying to get all that fat out because I have a little bit of a stomach, but it's not too bad. But yeah, so that's what I'm trying to do.
No, yeah, I mean, as long as you can keep, and I'm sure they're doing this. You said it's called Char Fitness.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're always keep doing the footwork. Make sure you keep that agility, that flexibility, like you were talking about, because that's, at least from I've noticed from my strength and conditioning background, is the best athletes are not the strongest, they're not the fastest, they're not the most flexible. It's when they have a great base of all those. Because you've seen it. Like, you've seen some of these linemen that are 400
can't
pounds.
move their feet. Yeah,
they can't move their feet, and you'll run circles around them, right? But then you see the opposite. You got the ones that are super quick, but you and then they fall over.
Yeah,
So it's having that nice, well-rounded base, we'll say. But that footwork, man, that footwork is just so important, and just being big and strong, and just start drinking some whole milk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You'll be fine. No, I love it. So before we wrap things up, first I just want to say thank you both for coming on today. I love when Manj comes in the seat here. We always have a good discussion. Thankfully, we got deep. We didn't get too deep. We don't want to put Jake to sleep today. But check out our past podcasts. They're really good stuff. But I'm going to leave you guys both with one more question. So, Manj, we'll start with you. So you said on June 6th, I believe you'll be hitting a year, right?
Yep. Yeah, after my birthday.
June 5th.
Yeah,
Okay.
June 5th,
Okay. Goal, simple. Like, if you could pick one major goal you want to hit in this next year, what would it be? I know it's hard to put it all into one.
I got one word, and I don't want to say it, because if I say it, people are going to take it wrong, and they might run for me, so I'm not going to say that word. I'll save that for something else. I would say, if I have one goal, is to build off from last year, is to spread the love amongst the program and the team, is to stay together. Communication is key. I shouldn't have to text you and run that and chase you down for anything. If you really want to be part of something, put it this way, we spend time on social media. A lot of us do. We all do. As a realtor, as a coach, everything, I'm always on there. So you're scrolling. But if a coach or somebody important, something you really want to do, hits your phone, I just say communicate and understand what's your priorities. Put your priorities right. And if you want to be successful, and that's why we really want to be with this program. If you want to be successful, we have to be all in. See, it's easy to say all in, but then you got somebody like Jake that's all in. You have a few guys there's quite a few players that are all in, but then you get sidetracked by stuff, and you know what? Those things will always be there. And that's some of the bullshit. You can always, excuse my mouth, I'm sorry. But, you can always find all that stuff always. You can scroll back, you can go relook at that stuff, But the moment is where I'm asking, or the coaches are asking, can you please communicate? That's all we ask for. So communication is the key to win. It's the key to success.
100%. And Jake, what's your goal for this next year? If you had one goal, what would it be?
Well, this is a good question, because last year – sorry, I'm going back.
No, you're good.
Last year I was in Char, and I was talking with Donnie, and I was like, I want to win everything. I want to get everything, and I almost virtually did with all the accolades and everything like that. But going into these next 4 years, I want to be either on that second team or that first team going in to Valpo this coming year. And with this All-Star game, I want to be starting first. Like, there's 10 linemen, but I don't want to be the backup that they put in when, everybody gets a chance to be in the game, obviously, but I want to start. So
I love it.
And for that game, we're going to unveil something special for you. He's going to be wearing something different that, it's going to be the first time seeing. It'll be at that game that, Glenn Ridge is going to be like, oh, wow. Like, it's going to be one of them wows.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Something to tune in for. Spoiler alert.
Guys, that's it. Stay tuned. Well, guys, that is another episode of the SignatureCAST, where we talk bodybuilding, business, and everything in between. Manj, Jake, once again, thank you guys so much for coming on today. I hope you guys next year is absolutely successful, and I know it will be, because we're going to communicate, we're going to stay motivated, we're going to stay dedicated. It's going to be amazing. Guys, we'll see you soon. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.